Hey guys, what's going on? It's Don here from Novaspirit Tech and welcome back to the channel. And today we are going to be taking a look at the Synology 1019 Plus. So let's get started. Before we begin, I do want to thank Synology for sending me over this 1019 Plus for review. And I could say it's probably because of this budget NAS that I built a couple of months earlier that they took notice of me. So what better way to do this video than to do a comparison between the two, because honestly, they're really very close in comparison. Everything that I talk about in this video for the Synology will be linked down in the description below if you want to check it out yourself. Let's get into it. Now, I do have a little bit of a rant actually from this video that I built. I think about like 5% of you guys were like, this is clickbait because I didn't include the price of the hard drive inside this guy. And when I said it was a budget $500 build, you assumed automatically that there was going to be hard drives built into it. But seriously, like when you build a server like this, those hard drives are priced at whatever you need it at. So if I needed like, I don't know, 20 terabytes or 100 terabytes, this price substantially goes up depending on how much space you need. Especially like saying, I'm going to build a PC. Oh, it's clickbait. You didn't include the keyboard. And if you go check out Synology's website and take a look at this guy, they don't include the hard drive prices in here either. So anyway, rant over. All right, to begin, why I say these two are very close in comparison, it's not only in price, but also in utility. So this is priced at $649 without the hard drives. And when I built this guy, this was about $500 without the hard drives, and they both could do almost the same thing, especially transcoding video, a NAS, and a bunch of other stuff like Docker or VMs. As far as the specs go on this guy, this has an Intel Celeron J3455 at 1.5 base clock and 2.3 gigahertz boost with 4 cores, 8 gigs of DDR3 RAM, and a fitment of 2 NVMe drives just for caching. It also supports 5 bays, and technically if you guys dissect the model number, which is 1019, which means you could actually get up to 10 bays, and it came out in the year 2019, so that's why. So if you've seen like 518 or 517, those are 5 bay, came out in 2017. Now you could see that it only has 5 bays right now, but it is expandable. You would buy a 517 or 518 and you could just directly expand this to a 10 bay. It does support RAID 1, RAID 2, RAID 5, RAID 6, and RAID 10. So you have plenty of RAIDs to go around with this guy. Also has 2 NICs in the back, external eSATA port, USB 3 in the back and also in the front. And it does have a locking mechanism. And this is all like plastic. So it does slide in and the hard drive does go in without having to install any screws or anything. And I do gotta say the form factor is much smaller than the guy that I've built over here. If you haven't seen this guy, I will leave a link to this video up on the top left corner, but I'm gonna give you guys a quick rundown in specs on the one that I built. So I built this with a Ryzen 3 2nd generation with the graphic card built in. So it's a 2200G and it's base clocked at 3.5 gigahertz at 4 cores. It also has 8 gigs of RAM, but at DDR4. Now the NVMe drive is not a cache drive, it's actually the operating system. So I only have one of those, but it also has an external GPU, which is the P200, just for dedicated transcoding. It only has 1 network port in the back, but I have plenty of USBs. So this is basically a budget desktop turned into a NAS. While compared to this guy, I don't have any video output, so I can't actually convert this into a computer. So I do have that little bit of a benefit on this side. All right, all in all, I know the price is a little bit different. This is about $150 more than this guy, but why do I say they compare to each other very well? Now in this guy, you do get 1 extra bay. Technically, you could throw more hard drives inside this guy, so you could get more, but it's not going to be bays. But this is all done. You buy this unit, you're set. You don't have to configure or worry about how to get this all going. They have a full dedicated operating system built into this guy with full support that you will get as soon as you purchase this guy. As far as mine, it took me hours or maybe even more just to get the operating system installed, get the RAID set up, get everything all put together. I know you guys did suggest try using FreeNAS on this guy, which I can, and I know there are other operating systems I could throw into this, like OMV or something, to turn it into a dedicated NAS. But there was a few features that I couldn't get out of using FreeNAS and stuff like that, especially with the dedicated graphic card where I had to unlock it just so I could do more than 2 streams. Something like that wouldn't work on FreeNAS. Now the desktop utility is super easy to use. As soon as you log into the browser, it's basically its own operating system inside the browser, and you can install Dockers, Plex, their utilities. It gets updated automatically. It's basically its own little server. And you could also run VMs on this guy, which I kind of wouldn't recommend because it's only got 8 gigs of RAM on a 1.5 gigahertz CPU. So you're really going to stress it out. But anyway, point being, this guy is basically set and forget, and it comes pre-configured to the point where you don't have to worry about installing all the utilities like I would on this guy. And that's one of the major factors, and I gotta say that is worth $150. It's just like buying a Windows key, but that's just my opinion. As far as the speed test goes on the network, these two are exactly the same. They do both do gigabit Ethernet. As you can see from this Perf3 test, they are both almost identical. As far as plex transcoding on this guy, which is what I was mainly building this guy for, I could actually get up to 9 streams at the same time. So transcoding 9 1080 streams. I don't know how this does it. It has a CPU that does the transcoding, but it's very impressive, able to get 9 streams. On the 10th stream, that is where I start getting some buffering and everything. Now on this guy, even though I have a dedicated graphic card and it's unlocked so I could do more than 2 streams, I was able to get 7 streams, and it kind of struggled with the 8th and the 9th. I was able to get it through, but it really depends on the video that I'm putting in. Some takes a little bit more, some takes a little bit less. So to give you guys a quick idea, transcoding a 1080 video takes 200 megs of RAM on the graphic card. And if you got 2 gigabytes, on paper, I should be able to get about 10 streams with the 2 gigabit GPU like this. But you know, sometimes the actual video takes a little bit more than 200 megabytes, you know, more or less right around there. So it does like 7 streams, 8 streams comfortably. And then any more than that, it kind of struggles. As far as processing power, hands down, this is way much faster than this guy because it's at a 3.5 gigahertz 4-core CPU compared to the 1.5 gigahertz base and 2.3 boost. But that means that this takes a little bit more wattage. So I'm going to show you that the wattage at idle, and you can see the budget build is takes a little bit more than the Synology NAS, which is a bad thing if you're only dedicating this for a NAS setup that's going to be running 24 hours. There are some features on this guy that I will not have on this guy, which is the front panel USB to transfer to the hard drives. That's a really cool feature this guy has. So basically, if you stick in a USB hard drive or stick a USB key in here, it could automatically offload to your hard drive, and it saves all the data really quick. So if you're doing video editing and stuff like that off a portable hard drive, when you get home, you want to offload it, you can just plug it in and do it the rest. While mine, it's not really built for that. And all my USBs are pretty much locked up behind this little shell. So for me to do this, first I would have to find the software that will do it. And that wouldn't be as reliable as this guy. That's one of the key features that I really like. Now, another thing that I was actually supposed to talk about in this video, which I will be doing a full dedicated video for this in the future, which is their NVR. So basically, it's a security surveillance recording station, and it's usually called DVR instead, but since this is a NAS, they called it an NVR, and it's a new software that they actually implemented into this guy that will actually take all your security cameras, record everything, and load it onto the Synology NAS. I did order some parts for that to get that going, but with what's going on in the world right now, it's taking me forever just to get what I need. So I will have a video for that, as well as another video showing you guys tips and tricks as far as the operating system goes and how to take full advantage of this Synology NAS. In conclusion, which one would you prefer? Now, if you're more of a hands-on technical guy that likes to build your own stuff, the budget build is a little bit cheaper and you get what you need out of it, definitely. Now, if you are more towards like set it and forget it and you just want something that works and it's easy to configure, the Synology NAS. You are paying a little bit more of a premium, but then again, you are paying for that convenience. So with that being said, if you guys like this video, please hit that like button. If you guys have any questions about this, hit it down in the comments below. If you guys are new to this channel, consider subscribing. Also hitting that bell notification icon so you know when the next video is going to be out. And as I say in my nerd cave, hack till it hurts.